So we'll call the meeting to order. First of all, are there any public comment? Okay, let's move forward. Community updates. Community policing update. CPD.
I'm Officer DeGarmo. I was here at the last meeting. It's my second meeting. When I got with the analyst today, talking about the statistics, there was two major crimes between the last meeting and this meeting. Even though they were in the community, they're not people who were in the community. The first crime was somebody went to Fantasyland and a passenger got to an argument, got to a fight, and they grabbed the keys, they ran down the street and threw it because somebody took something without someone's permission. It shows as robbery. That's what we reported as. That's technically the crime. So that's something that's been assigned to a detective. The other thing was somebody went to the bank, took out $50,000, left it on their front seat. Somebody followed them from the bank down to the 5090 Coolidge. They went inside their business, came back, and their bank money was gone that they left in the front seat. You know, had they locked their doors, it would have been different. We're trying to solve that one. That one's been resolved. In terms of, we talked about traffic stops, we talked about lowest and Crest in that area and all of Crest Airport. I pulled the statistics on traffic stops. There's around 280 in that area since the last meeting. And this meeting, I reached out to Officer Barnwell, who's one of our motor units. He's trying to concentrate more efforts in that area. Airport roads, air cargo roads have always been an issue, so they're aware of that. But some of the smaller side streets, we're trying to get them to go down.
I'm sorry, 280
Traffic stops.
stops in 1 month?
Yes, ma'am.
How can we get zero report on that or something? I'm sorry?
Ten a day.
Yeah.
Keep somebody good.
That I don't know, because it shows, so what it shows from May 1st to today, and I had the analyst do it. So total, there was 333, but some of them I have to go in and I have to weed out because they involved Hillsborough Avenue. Because with traffic stops, the way that it gets reported is stopping location. So if I was down the street and it takes a minute for them to stop and then it ends there. So some of those I weeded out. So we got around 280.
Okay, so am I able to see that summary, like contact Tiara?
Yeah, ask her if she,
Yeah.
that's who I would go to and see what she does. And then, we talked about the airport properties last time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I reached out, sent emails, haven't got anything back, but I was advised that a lot of those properties, even though there's signs that say they have cameras, I'm not sure if there are actual cameras there or not, but we're trying to, you know, I sent an email again last week. I'll send one. I don't start working until tomorrow, so I'll send another email, try to. And, I think that's all we talked about. So also the businesses on Hillsborough right there that lead back into the properties. I've been working with code enforcement and some of the businesses trying to get trespass authorization, because if I show up to the Goodwill, you know, it's like right there, and there's people hanging out, I can't tell them to leave unless Goodwill allows me to. Goodwill allows me to. Hurricanes left me down. The 7-Eleven somewhat on board at Hillsborough and Air Cargo, all those restaurants, they have trespass authorization now because I think it was last Saturday, the car club was out. And the only place I couldn't move them from was 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven said they are cool to hang out there. So I said, well, if the business will allow me to do it, maybe corporate will. So I reached out to corporate, waiting for corporate to get back because, and then I'm gonna reach out to the department. I'm not sure if it'd be, the fire department. I can't think of the name right now, the fire marshal or who, because you can't have 200 cars and motorcycles just parked in your parking lot and you know, the maximum capacity kind of thing. So trying to get that issue solved because I was checking on the Hesperdes, the 5010 Hesperdes property, and I just heard loud music and I was driving around to figure out.
It comes from Hillsborough.
Comes from Hillsborough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, don't hesitate to reach out if the homeless are trickling back into the neighborhoods. Hopefully they're not. So we're trying to get them to go somewhere not there, but, so we're working on that.
So I have an update
That's not.
for everybody here, including yourself. Cedric was helping me some with that yesterday too. There are coyotes on the loose in Drew Park, and you should know that. So we have a gallery family on Hesperdes in Osborne. And our security guard at 10:15 saw the coyotes coming out of the airport property and down Osborne. I did receive a video of coyotes. One video I haven't received is two coyotes together, and this one was by itself. I have the video as well. And it's within the airport tap, behind their fence. Property. What got called to my attention, other than our security guard saying that there was coyote going down Osborne on 10:15, which was kind of early, wasn't like 3 o'clock in the morning, was we received my brother-in-law saw a pretty mangled cat on our property on the hill. And I have pictures, I don't invite you to look at them, but if you want to, I have them. The cat is it is in basically 2 pieces. And on the video is a coyote bringing its prey onto the property. I caught it in another part of the property. But what concerned me even more was, as we go on with the video, you'll see that he leaves this cat, which is basically half gone, half eaten. So he's full. He goes out and crosses the street, lays down on the middle of the street, and he's hunting again. And he goes after another cat. He didn't catch that. So what tells me it's like he's not hunting just for food. He's hunting. Here. It was pretty gross. It was pretty scary. And that one was between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. But like I said, it's 10:15. The coyote was walking down Osborne and taking his time. I think, very accustomed to do it. So, all of us who are business owners here or work here or live here or what have you, we know that we have coyotes in the woods. I did report.
Is that new? Do you think the coyotes or were they?
Apparently some people had heard about it, but they didn't really say anything. It happened on our property yesterday morning, so it's new to me. So we contacted, what was it, Fish and Game or whatever, but they haven't responded.
Controller Services first and then FWC.
So apparently, I contacted Kate. That's not Kathy, it's Chief Kate now. I said, hey, do you know where to go, with this? And she said Animal, Fish and Wildlife or whatever, so. I just sent me she goes, that might explain a few other things going on in Drew Park, is what she told me. So I sent her the pictures and I sent her with a warning. And I showed her, the video and all that, and she was trying to contact Fish and Wildlife. And then I think you said you were told that there was someone at the airport that's in charge of that?
No, well, not in charge of it. They have staff on hand that handle issues like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
take care of wildlife on here.
So he's waiting for that contact. Maybe you can help him with it. He doesn't know who to call on your end.
Well, actually, it was Florida Fish and Wildlife who's.
Oh, Fish and
Yes,
Wildlife.
I'm waiting for
He's
them.
trying to find out.
Yes.
Someone in your end. Okay, got it. But I just want you to know that that's going on.
Can you clarify, was it one incident at 10:15, you said, was that morning or night?
At 9, yeah. He was coming out of, he crossed Air Cargo Road from airport property, crossed Air Cargo Road, crossed Hesperdes, and continued down. Then our Hale property, 5 blocks down or so, is off of Hale, is off of Osborne. So I guess that's his little, that's one, but they've seen more than one. We've seen at least a pair together. It's good. Important warning, coyotes on the loose in Drew Park for those who just came in. Okay, and if you are interested in photos, I have them. They were hard. My poor husband had to bury poor little thing. Because do something with that. Show what we did. Because we couldn't get a hold of anybody to come pick it up. Just there. So. Okay, anything else for TPD? We would like to acknowledge a TPD officer who walked in. Hi.
Hello, Corporal Brown,
Okay.
Community Engagement. The City of Tampa Police Department is the actual primary animal control officer for the City of Tampa, unfortunately. And if it's a weekend, it's very difficult to get the county to come out to do anything. So we understand frustration with that.
Well, it was necessarily the frustration, just that it happened yesterday morning, and we found a really severe destroyed cat. And when I went on to the film, it caught the whole thing in coyote. And on a property that I have on Hesperdy and Osborne at 10:15 on Saturday, this was yesterday morning, halfway between 2 and 3 o'clock. At 10:15, just to catch you up, at 10:15 on Saturday, we have a bang on Hesperdy and Osborne. The security guard saw some coyote cross their cargo onto Osborne and walked out. So they're expanding their territories. Keep your animals under control, airport. You had a bear 2 years ago. You had a bear 2 years ago.
Do everything we can. Discourage their continued growth.
Guess maybe animal control comes and captures them and takes them somewhere else.
They did the bear.
The bear, they captured the bear, right?
Yeah, we captured the bear somewhere.
TPD helped with that.
We go
Well, that would be fish and wildlife.
I'm sorry,
That would be fish and wildlife that we tracked it, I'm sure.
That tracked
Yes.
track the coyote.
And those.
Hey, and
Okay.
was trying to contact them, and she hadn't had any success in them calling back the last time I talked to her, which was yesterday, when it happened.
It looks like there's a link on the City of Tampa website. I can get to access on my phone, but I'll report the sighting.
I appreciate that, and I can send, if you leave me your email, I can send you the stuff. Somewhere, if you wanna write it down here, and I can continue on with the meeting, you'll look through the line, just put it on here somewhere. Okay, anything else for Tampa Police Department? So we, thank you, you're welcome to stay or not, but we try to talk to the officers first because, we know you guys are on duty.
We should be able to give you an update when we can.
All right, so we're going to move over to code enforcement updates. I didn't know much, nothing, we're skipping, okay. So now we are on approval of our meeting notes, minutes, April 2nd, so if we can take a look at that.
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So
Second, if I may ask.
Me. Me did it.
Okay. We're moving forward then to, presentation. Deidre,
Yes,
do we have, so,
no formal presentations, so we can move right into staff reports.
back reports?
And this time I think you all met, it's been, no, you see, last month we didn't have quorum. And he's going to, kind of follow up on some of the, projects that are in the works, and then I'll kind of opine as he's making the presentation.
Thank you, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all again. Again, Nate Bennett, project coordinator for the CRA. This month, like every month, we have provided the infrastructure and capital improvement report. It's in your packets. The only project that I wanted to highlight and circle back to this month is the Hubert Park discussion of the Hubert Park project, just to give you an update on where we are on that. As mentioned at the last meeting, we didn't have a quorum, but we did bring it up for discussion. Just as a preliminary conversation about how we were going to move forward and what methodology we were going to go with as far as funding and what we're going to do with what placemaker had delivered. So they've given us the schematic design. That schematic design has been presented, and I have a copy in case anybody needs one. I handed them out at the last meeting. But currently the budget, the existing budget, you guys have a line item for phase 2. Phase 2 is going to be that design phase that you were talking about, where all of the details and the specifications of that park design are done, we'd like to move forward with procuring that service, possibly with Placemaker. But we want to do a design bid build methodology where essentially we have the design work created in concert with this committee and the community. And then those designs are bid out for construction. Right now, the line item that I'm referring to is the Tampa Bay Boulevard Linear Park Project Phase 2 and Neighborhood Park. So it's those two parks in one line item. And you all have $857,000 allocated to that line item. This design portion is going to cost roughly $200,000. And so that is what I would make a recommendation. If you wanted to make a separate line item, but again, that line item exists, it's already assigned to Hubert Avenue Park. So we can proceed without, with Hubert Avenue, yes.
So the description in the budget seems a little confusing. We're talking about Hubert, but the description in the budget says the linear park. Are we doing anything with the linear park or not?
So the linear park, a few meetings back, linear park was determined to be the fourth priority.
Correct.
Behind the landscaping streetscape project and the mobility project.
Mhm.
So far we have funded those projects. Those are going to be deliberated tomorrow.
Yes,
Or-
those projects, the ones that you all made the determination at the April meeting, they're moving forward and on the CRA board for agenda tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So, and thank you all for participating in that effort.
Yes. So now moving forward, I'm working on that third.
$200,000.
Yes, so now I'm working on that third priority, which is Hubert Avenue or the Hubert Park project. The 200,000 would be for the design services procurement. So everything
Hubert
that,
Avenue Park project is number one on this list, correct?
on this list, yes. Yes.
Okay, so the $200,000 is for design for that part.
Yes.
Okay. And then Cedric, what's on the agenda for tomorrow's meeting?
The streetscape and intersection improvements that you all said were the priority at the April 2nd meeting.
So items number 2 and 3.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And so that's our update now. I'm able to move forward. I'm able to work with our urban planner and Tony Monk from Parks that knows this project really well to develop that scope of work for the design criteria. I'm able to, go ahead.
I think what was happening was on the other two, there were more definite figures.
Yes.
Projects, and
Yes.
we were able to pass those. The third one, which was this park, there was just a plethora of things to choose from.
Mhm.
And, you know, at $2 million almost, you know, it wasn't like, no, we're not gonna build, you know, another little Disney World here, you know? So we needed to scope that down. They just Placemakers gave us a bunch of ideas. So we last meeting went back to you guys and said, hey, you know, we can't just pass money without knowing what the actual design is. So now you come back with the next step, which is appropriate, I believe, is, okay, what is the design gonna be with all the research that Placemaker has already done,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the point where we are going to nail down the details and you guys were talking about the theme of the park and some of those. Yes.
Volleyball net or basketball
Yes,
courts? Do
yes.
we want a shelter for kids to have birthday parties, or do we want, you know, whatever it is?
Pickleball, you got a pickleball and everything.
Whatever. Exactly. So that's the part where we're now trying to get a new consultant, the same consultant or whoever, but I don't know how this goes, to do this. But let me ask you something, does $200,000 sound like a lot? Because I mean, the whole project was less than that, right?
Yeah, so 200, the entire project is about 1.8.
No, 1.8 with the whole,
Yes.
we can't even say that, because that's the whole, you know, buffet. And
Yes.
that was just throwing everything out there, that was a possibility, so that's, yeah. I'm talking about having the consultant come in and scope that out.
200,000 is average for the other parks that we're working with, throughout the city of Tampa.
Because we have a small park there. It's like 2 lots.
Yes.
So that just seems to me like a lot of money for that, of which a lot of the work has already been done. I'm just saying, I mean, if we approve this, that doesn't mean you're gonna spend it.
No, it would be up to.
Okay, because it does concern me. It's a much smaller park than any, and it's called, basically, it's called a pocket park or neighborhood park, whatever. It's a small park. And a lot of the work has already been done. Like I said, I'm repeating myself, so. Something to consider. I think 200,000 is a lot.
Yeah, 200,000, I do raise, I do round up a little bit. If you look at West Tampa and South Scenes Park, the design phase of that project cost about 150,000. It's a relatively small park as well.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that it's
Yeah. Then my point
covered, but the
is,
entirety of it, yeah, if you don't max it out, yes, ma'am.
say 50% of the work on the design has been done. So they're not starting from scratch. I just want that to be kept in mind, because we're gonna need money to build out. That's just my 2 cents.
So I'm confused, I just want to double check, so, I mean, I think some of these things that you're talking about this part.
Yes.
Okay, so this was designed already, or no?
No, it's not yet. So that's where we are now, is we're gonna get to the details of it. All that Placemaker has provided to this community is a schematic design.
Okay,
Yes,
you know, yeah,
just to give some ideas.
like a sketch, a
Possibilities.
sketch, and now you're gonna.
Sketch, very conceptual. They did they did all the public engagement and all the surveying within the community. So that was a part of the schematic as well. So now we're ready to make the plan real.
So if we want to go ahead and get into design, then we will need a motion to move forward with this expenditure. Second. We vote on it.
So move.
I'll second.
All in favor? So does this go to council tomorrow, or this is, no, because it's already a line item?
You already had it
Got
allocated, so it's ready to go.
Okay, so now that we got this part, I did want to make a note that I did, and I did send it to, Cedric, made a mistake of giving me his cell number.
It's okay.
I was down there. And I saw a notice of commencement type thing, and also with a code violation of, apparently some houses are going behind there. Did you? I thought it was by that alley that we were talking about, remember the alley in the back, we were talking about, and we have access to that alley, it was right about there.
If you can hold that thought.
Okay, I'm holding it.
I'm gonna share some information and have some general conversation about a parcel of property that's right near there. And then we can address it.
Okay, got it. So we're moving forward.
So,
I do have a comment while you're here,
yes.
based on what's coming up tomorrow and at the CRA meeting to approve our 2 first projects, right? I did meet with, in the last meeting that I had in front of city council or CRA, I did bring up the fact that, I would like some help from some council member, to kind of look at what's going on in Air Cargo, because it is affecting us, 45 miles per hour. 45 in Hillsborough, the other side is 35, then you've got, I don't know what on Tampa Bay, but then you've got Del Mabry at 45, and so it all jumps into a 25, and if you're here like me and some other people here on a daily basis, you're seeing it a lot, because you're right there. The big semis taking stop signs, the dumpsters taking the stop signs, the, people that are coming in 45 miles per hour and or more from Air Cargo and coming right into our area where we have trucks, so, and there's a lot of actually accidents that are not reported. And as well as, there's been a few deaths, car racing, and also some deaths on, Alva and Lois, and the other one is in Cayuga and Lois. It's another hot spot too there. And I've seen 2 in Air Cargo. And for Jesus used to get the pictures. So I had a meeting with Vic from Mobility, the head of Mobility, if I'm not wrong. And an assistant that he has now that's gonna be working on some, hopefully working with us on this project, and, Councilman Miranda. And I basically just let them out, said everything that I said here with a little bit more detail, we need to do something at these stop signs, there's those little treads, I'm not talking about humps, but they have them in other parts of the city. I did a research on the internet, what other cities do and other counties do and other states do. And that there's a big, planned community at Air Cargo Road, but has the city addressed how that traffic may or may not impact Air Cargo Road and through park, because we already have, concerts and the games and Yankees and all that feeding into Drew Park, So have they considered what's, because I'm sure like it's a planned development, they've done some work. We should have been part, at least of some, receive some of that information, on how it may not impact us.
Wasn't one of the projects, either number 2 or number 3 here, to address some of the striping and the stop bars and some of those things?
Okay, thank you for saying that. I thought we had had that conversation.
So that's one of the projects that are going in front of the board tomorrow for approval. That would be number 2, the $592,000 project for mobility, safety improvements.
So some
Transportation.
of what I spoke about may be in there.
Yes.
Possibly. Because, and Ms. Ashley Keys and I did have a conversation, yesterday about the boundary and where the CRA boundary stops. And I think I pulled it up, in a
Yeah,
meeting
it's the center
before.
line. I thought it was one side of the road or the other, but
Right.
it was the center line of the road.
And that's what I was explaining to her. So that makes it a little bit difficult for us to spend and allocate CRA funding for the entire road when.
There was a lot of striping, stop bars, and all that, and that one project. So I think a
But-
lot of what you're.
I'm talking about is great, and that makes me feel good. I must have missed that meeting. But even if it's just half of Hesperdes that can't get done, the other half can, and the city might be able to have to pitch in. Or we need to find out with the state or whomever, if it's a safety issue, can it be completed? Like, we can't leave half of half of the wall, type of thing. So, okay, I'm glad to hear that. So. All right, but we did have that conversation, and especially about, air cargo speeding and racing in particular, last week, someone on Del Mabry lost their life on car racing. And the car racing has been stronger on air cargo, correct, officer, than on Del Mabry. And I have witnessed myself many accidents, at least up to 5 accidents on air cargo, and I will tell you, it is so organized that there will be a tow truck, auxiliary cars come up. Everything gets cleaned up, disappeared before the police arrive. It never happens. It never happens. It's very organized. You have people on stop signs, making sure nobody's gonna come in and interfere. You got people on some occasion videotaping, making, I don't know, TikTok videos or something on air cargo and on Hesper's. But my husband almost got taken out between the dump trucks racing down Hesper's, which is, a small street, barely 2 cars fit. So, I've witnessed it and I've witnessed the bodies too. There's 2 that I know of. So I'm glad I got the attention on Del Mabry, that poor woman, and I took advantage, I must say, of that news first to say, hey, it's been happening at Air Cargo Road as well and on Hesperdes. And feeding into that, into Cargo. We gotta take care of this. So that was basically my meeting, let's take a look at this, so we don't have any more. Plus, you guys are gonna be having people coming in and out of that new complex, And those people coming out of the complex are not coming in and out at 45 miles per hour.
I don't
They're
know
gonna run
anything
into-
goes 45 miles an hour.
No, it's 50, 55, And when they're racing, they're close to 100, I'm sure. Anyway, I just wanted to bring you up to my conversation with mobility because, we were going up to, plus I needed to tell you, so there you go.
Are there cameras at all along the building?
No.
You were saying about the coyotes,
Yes,
I was
there are
thinking,
cameras that see cars driving by at 100 miles an hour 10 times a day. I mean, I could send terabytes of footage to the police station of blurs of, Honda Civics going 100 miles an hour up their cargo. but
Yeah, there's a lot of Hondas.
It doesn't really, it's kind of useless.
yeah, yeah.
Camera right on their cargo.
Where's that?
Air cargo and where?
He's on Hesperdes and what's the side street, Cayuga?
Cayuga has pretty.
He's on Hesperdes and Cayuga, and I'm on the other side, like 4 lots from him on Hesperdes and Osborne. My camera don't go out that far, but his does.
And they do tend to go into the hours of the evening when my crews start to come in the morning. I've had employees that get there at 4:30 to 5 o'clock in the morning, and they've got a habit of like pulling off of air cargo and taking, like the side way down, because driving up and down their cargo when it's dark outside, like at 4 or 5 in the morning, as long as it's dark. They've just had cars, full eye passing at 100 miles an hour as they're wiping sleep out of their eyes and getting their coffee ready, so.
And on the other end, I have venues, so I have people like, walking at 9 and 10 o'clock at night. So I was saw the coyote. And there's racing going on. So.
How about, when in Plaza Terrace, they put some kind of a data collection thing where run across the road, is that something that would detect anything?
It's been done, and, I think there's enough proof already that
Just,
there's a problem with racing, and, that we just need to get to that point of just getting it done, because in the conversation I've had before, trust me, I've had these conversations going over 2 years now, and trying to address this. Results I've gotten from the city without going into any detail, it's an enforcement issue. No, it's not an enforcement issue. You cannot have a police officer babysitting at Carlo Road all day long and at every block on Drew Park. You can't do that. We need to have something that deteriorates, mitigates, whatever those terms are called. So
an environmental.
it's exactly something that, and then yes, when there is an issue, but the problem with the police, okay, is, and he's probably just gonna nod, okay? These organized groups, I'm talking about the organized groups, but this racing, non-organized people too, okay? Have police scanners. We don't call anymore, why? Because you call them before the police can even take your phone call, they're already gone, it never happened. They weren't there. And yes, they do have police scanners, right? Yep, they do. So I'm over on the phone and they're just dispatching somebody. And before the officer has a chance to react, they already have it and they're like, stop it. And you can visually see it. You can visually see it happen.
You can see them even like pick their phones up and they're like, all right, we got like 90 seconds to finish this one, and then you literally see like 8 guys pick their phone up.
You guys just gotta join the right Facebook group.
Or you stay organizing somehow, you figure out how they're organizing and.
Do a race track on air cargo, on airport property for us.
No, thank you.
All right, folks, I know I went a little lengthy.
I already got one on the, next to another airport.
Okay. So.
And so pending any questions on any of the other projects, that's really the only update I have. Thanks, Paul.
So move this forward.
Thank you.
So will you, at every meeting, you'll be giving us an update on where we are with budget, schedule, and those kinds of things? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you.
Okay, Drew Park CRA FY 25 budget, is that you?
Yes.
Sir?
All right, should they have a 8.5 by 14, or, yeah, 8.5 by 14, few sheets of paper as it relates to the budget. We're in the last year, we kind of moved things up. We're in the current budget cycle. I'm not exactly sure how Mr. Nino handled this in the past, but we've kind of made some changes to some of the grant programs, and that was at the request of the CRA board. And I've highlighted them, and what I'll do is just kind of go through and point out some programs or some of the changes that are going to be going on with the grant programs. I know that there may have been fencing and facade. What we've tried to do is eliminate some of the names and just kind of create all of the same programs across the CRAs. Dr. Mills.
Quick question, the far right column as you're going through this, is this what you're proposing, these line items for the balance?
Yes,
Project? Thank
for
you.
FY 25. Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
So as it relates to the redevelopment and investment, number 4, redevelopment grants, and I'm not exactly sure if you all were familiar with those, and that's kind of providing business owners, either existing or new business owners within a designated CRA area with some technical assistance if they need assistance or financing for rendering the drawings or architect drawings, and to assist them with the process for permitting and things of that nature that are required. That's kind of what that grant would be for. The commercial exterior would be any business that would need any type of facade work, painting, awning, doors, windows, maybe parking, depending on how much work is done to the actual structure, awnings. So that's anything on the outside face of the building, as long as it's facing the thoroughfare. Commercial grant interior, formerly that was more of our vanilla shell, tenant ready grants, but that would cover anything on the interior, so any electrical, HVAC, drywall, things of that nature. And then special projects, that would be entities that if they are looking to rehab an existing building, and that may require more money. And so it could be upwards of $500,000, may not be that amount, but larger grants and requests for funding to assist in reimagining or redoing the building or existing structure.
So you've got, let's take, commercial exterior grants.
Yes, sir.
24 budget was 322. We consumed 52,000. We have $270,000 left. Does the $270,000 get added to the 300,000 that you're proposing for next year?
So yes, normally when we're doing the budget, we just focus on that fiscal year, but those dollars would remain. And it's my understanding that there may be some potential applications. The new grants will be approved by the CRA board tomorrow at the CRA board meeting. And there may be some folks that are lining up to do a consultation, and then we'll eventually submit an application for funds prior to the end of the fiscal year. So that 270 may change. And as we get more information and they're going through the process, then I would in turn, let you all know. And you would receive a sheet very similar to what Mr. Bennett has included in your packet the last couple of months with project updates. So any where they are. So they are ready. They're going to be coming before you all formally for a presentation, and to get an affirmative recommendation before it goes to the CRA board from the Drew Park CAC. Then that'll all be.
What's the fiscal year?
We start October 1. Yes, October 1 to September 3rd. And if you go to the second page at the top, I've kind of stricken through the former programs that were existing. So residential exterior improvements grants, and I'm sorry, I'm jumping down to affordable housing. Were there any more questions on the commercial grants?
Those grants available to individual commercial people. Where would they go to?
Yes, we have a team of folks that are working to collect those applications once approved tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get an affirmative vote from the CRA board, and then I believe in July 1 is the anticipated date that they'll start to advertise the applications. But if you have, someone that you'd like to refer or no business owner that has a level of interest, please feel free to let me know, and then I will refer it to the, our grants team, then they will reach out to them to, set up a time and a date for a phone call or in-person meeting. So, as you know, last year, the CRA board made a request across all the CRAs to allocate 30% to affordable housing. And with that, this budget cycle, we've created similar programs across the board. All CRAs, very similar to what we did with commercial grants. And with that being said, we have a housing down payment assistance program. And that is a housing rehab and renovation program that would be for similar to an owner occupied rehab for windows, doors, floors, plumbing, roofing, paint, landscaping. Dr. Munoz? No, it's okay.
Because we had, monies in those line items, will we be doing a budget, transfer to move those to that money that's sitting in those line items to other line items then?
Yes.
Okay.
So that, normally we kind of call rollover. So we can reallocate.
After the
Yes.
budget's settled, and
Correct.
then we'll just move those later.
Mhm.
Got it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
because,
Otherwise, it's complicated.
we probably won't know until maybe November, December timeframe, once everything clears, how much we actually have left remaining, and then
Okay,
we can reallocate, reprogram those dollars into those line items.
perfect. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have
So-
a question.
Yes, sir.
Let's, it breaks it down like, the affordable housing initiatives were replaced with initiatives called housing down payment assistance. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So the housing down payment assistance, is that like verbatim what it says, that grant is for housing down payment assistance?
Correct.
So almost seems like not only not affordable housing, but the opposite. Because that would be implying that they're purchasing a home, which no one seeking affordable housing is.
Right. Point taken. So if you were to purchase a home here in the park or a property, and you would submit an application through the City of Tampa Housing Community Development Agency, and they would say, okay, well, you've been approved, and based on the area median income, this is how much you can qualify for. It could be, as low as $15,000. It could be 30, or it could be maybe 50.
It sounds like you're just making it a little bit easier for someone to rent out a house for the same price that it would.
Well, no, they would have to own it. They would have to own it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
but could they then just rent it out?
There would be provisions within the contract. So if they decide to do an Airbnb or something like that, then they would have to.
We just already have like a prolifically underserved body of people that live full-time in Drew Park.
Right.
And I don't want to see, line items get, new verbiage that actually practically decreases the funding going to affordable housing in Drew
Mhm.
Park. It's, we're getting more money, but they're kind of making us spend it a little differently than the original initiative. I just wanted to be clear on how.
So to help me understand, just so I can kind of, if I need to have conversations back with the folks on our team, what exactly was done previously?
Well, it's just a line item as it says, it's for affordable housing. I don't think anything happened in my time here, but some of the things that we voted on were, for, the CRA to purchase property and, develop affordable housing, things of that nature, but I'm not sure how much we were actually able to do on those items in the last year. Our total consumption is 0.
Right.
But, I just kind of questioned the verbiage that I read it the first
Gotcha.
time.
So the down payment assistance program and then the procurement or assembly would be two separate entities. Actually, I'll be covering that, following up to Ms. Astor Keys's comment about the property on Hubert. But point taken.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
I'm sorry, who made this decision to move this over? Did we?
No, well, these are just recommendations from the staff, and this is based on what the CRA board has instructed us as an agency to do. And to consolidate the programs and then make them across the board. So whether it's Drew Park or West Tampa or Channelside or East Tampa, Tampa Heights, all the grant programs are the same. So it cuts down on some of the confusion, especially with the community if they're reaching out. We've had business owners that do business or own properties in West Tampa, commercial properties, but the program may be titled something different in East Tampa. So we're just trying to clean it up and make sure that everything is transparent as possible for everyone across all the CRAs.
Thank you.
The Affordable Housing Initiatives land, $1.5 million funds available, but we're not gonna put any more into that in 25, is that where we got?
That's correct.
So we'd still have 1.5 million.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and what that would kind of dovetail into would be, there's an item there that has, I think, $410,000. You would look at that as strategic acquisitions. That's what it would be titled.
That means, because if I'm doing the math right, that's the amount that we went up from what was planned previously, approximately $400,000. So what? Explain what that means.
So if there was a property or properties available for purchase, then that would be funding available to assist in those efforts.
Buy a nice strip.
Well, with the purpose of another use, change of use, yes.
Which is kind of like what we
So
did.
we could
to
turn.
pur-
we can- Sorry. sure.
That's it. No. This is how we acquired the land where the pocket park is at, the Huber Park.
Correct.
Because we put money in strategic acquisitions. I think we called it somewhat else.
Yeah, so some of the names have changed, but it's still the same purpose. And like I said, we're doing it across all the CRAs. So the infill housing development was one that was added across all the CRAs. And that is specific to if there are any lots that we, as a CRA of the city own, to try to build and make it into affordable housing, some type of single family home or a duplex or a multifamily type situation. So, and one thing that we are trying to do is work with the other departments, it's primarily housing and our planning department to kind of vision and see what we can do with the properties that we own, and then involve our CACs in that conversation and say, hey, what do you think? This is the design. This is what, our folks say is an allowable use. This is what the density is. Are you in support of it? So on and so forth. And then, we would hope to move forward, break ground and build some things, cut some ribbons, and y'all can show up and smile and say, hey, we had a hand in it. Yes, ma'am.
Question, I don't know if it relates to that, but, what is the city's point on a small, like tiny house kind of things?
So, there have been some conversations about, modular and, accessory dwelling units, and also the, tiny homes, so to speak. And I know that some people like the idea, and then you have some that, hey, I don't want that in my community because of, it could be related to maintenance and upkeep, or, what's gonna happen once the original owner sell, or, so I mean, it's, there is conversation, but I can't tell you that there's been a primary focus on that as of yet.
And there's no city ordinance against or pro?
No, I'd have to double check, but I know that there have been a lot more conversations about accessory dwelling units and in-law quarters behind, because there's only certain areas in the city that primarily traditionally have had them. East Tampa has updated their overlay last year, so,
So it has to do with zoning or no?
oh, yes, for sure, for sure. Any other questions on the affordable housing grants? Yes.
Just
Yes,
a
ma'am.
question, speaking of zoning, what's the bill that the governor signed in some kind of bill that said zoning could be changed without meetings
For the local,
with local, so, yeah.
I think that may be what you're referring to.
Yeah, there was a
So
guy
would,
that was looking at a project, Andrew Park.
so would we here have meetings, or would, developers just go, hey, there's the local act and we can build what we want?
So you mean like a community-based meeting? Well,
Yeah.
it depends. If it's something, if they're coming to
Does
all
anyone?
of the CAC, if they're coming to you as the CAC, and then they would, formally come and do a presentation, or if they would apply through our grants program and then say, hey, then I would bring it to you and say, hey, this has been vetted,
Okay,
What's
so
your
they're doing the
recommendation?
grants program.
correct. They're, yes, we
And
will,
then-
we have staff that will vet all of that to make sure that they, have the funding available and, all of those things. And then it would come to you all, say, hey, they checked all these boxes, this is the location,
Okay, so those two things would never,
no.
okay, thank you.
My God.
This brings up another question. So with all of these like housing, affordable housing and all that, are they restricted to the residential zoning in Drew Park? Because we have a fairly small section, I think that's right. And then the other is all light industrial.
That's been brought up many times in this committee. And we have been extremely strong on the fact that commercial is commercial and residential is residential. And there are some sprinkled in on the commercial side because that's just the way Drew Park was developed. Supposedly at some point, I don't know if it was written somewhere, but with code and zoning, once somebody moved out and you could never turn it back into commercial. Right, anybody here remembers that 11 years ago? It's like residential finished on the side of commercial. It had to be now commercial. It could not. Don't take me for this because this is something that I'm going more than 10 years back, okay? Did it ever make it on the books? Am I referring to something that had existed or was it just, guidance? I don't know. But I know this unit has been very firm on the commercial is commercial and the residential side. Okay, move forward to infrastructure.
So infrastructure, neighborhood infrastructure improvements, that's a line item that you all traditionally had, and, we normally, will kind of sit money there, and then it can always be reprogrammed to, other line items. And if there is a project or something that comes up and, hey, we want to take advantage of that, and then we can pull in some of the, projects that you all have going on or upcoming, and then will be approved tomorrow, will be have been shifted from neighborhood infrastructure improvements once approved. The linear park was listed in the budget previously, and we got word that you all want to hold off on that because of the additional expense. And then the neighborhood park, Mr. Bennett kind of touched on there. And then the connectivity, safety improvements, and the lowest and greatest streetscape, I was going to say speedway based on the conversation earlier, but lowest and greatest streetscape and gateway improvements are going to be approved tomorrow by the CRA board.
It's not that amount. It's spending 2.4 million.
No. That's just what was in the pot. I have the parks ADA improvements in red. The CRA board did mandate that we work with parks to provide ADA equipment or to go above and beyond what may be existing with the pending park that's going to be approved and developed on Hubert. So I did make a recommendation that we put a few dollars in there. Right now, that's the only park that I believe is within the Drew Park.
But it is possible to, if all the ADA provisions are met in their original design, we wouldn't even need to touch that $60,000.
That is correct. Yeah, and it's probably gonna sit there for a while, because we got a while before that, right? And stuff.
I see Tampa Bay Linear Park infrastructure, Tampa Bay Linear Park project improved other than buildings. Tampa Bay Linear Park project phase 2 and neighborhood, and neighborhood park, so there it is, that's where it's at. Got it.
Okay. So, as we move down to transportation, I have had some conversations with Hart, and they may be coming forward before you all at some point if asked, but then no, I take that back. We just had a meeting yesterday. They will have to go through the grants process also that I just described, getting ahead of myself. And then they will come here once they.
Is it typical that HARP comes to the CRAs for funding? I was kind of surprised to see that one on here and thought that should be their expense, not ours, but.
And I'm sure they're gonna get questions about that.
Okay.
We see ourselves in ultimately with CRA funds, we can go above and beyond. So if there's an existing bus stop and it's, you know, just a bench, we can, subsidize and help build a nice structure to keep folks out of the heat and weather.
We went through that once before, and the one on Martin Luther King, and I think there were two. I think that would be. Anyway, someone ran into it.
Mm.
And it was supposed to, and it's no longer there, that bus stop. And it was placed by Hart, I believe, because we had a project that go hand in hand with Hart. Some of it we paid, and I believe some of it they paid.
Mhm.
And was waiting for the solution, with somebody else, I think, and just never got replaced or repaired. But I believe that was a Hart one.
Yes.
Just to put knowledge, I mean, at this point, it's gone.
So based on the conversation in the meeting that I was in a couple of weeks ago, I think there may be two sites or no, one. And their estimate was about $80,000.
Question. Is there any thought to where the kids are picked up for school buses?
We're not directly involved with that. That would be the school district.
But you did get the stops somewhere. I never got that report before you, I think it was.
But we can inquire.
Yeah,
you know.
it was received. We asked for it because we wanted that consideration with the improvements that we were doing on bus grading everywhere else. And what's it called, planners? I'm sorry.
Planning department?
No, our contractor. Contractor who's doing the,
Yes.
okay.
Terratectonic.
Terratectonic,
Yes.
it is Terratectonic,
Mhm.
was supposed to have received that. I asked for it a couple of times, because actually he received it because I was asking for it, because part of it, by your nodding, I think you might remember, so it had to do with, if we're doing all this, we need to keep in mind the safety of the kids.
Right.
You know, if there's an improvement that needed to be with the sidewalk or what have you, or where the kids are waiting for their school buses.
Right.
But
So-
just so you know, I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but with being with the school system, it depends on the kids that year, that school year, where they go at the bus stops. So let's say that a kid went to high school, they graduated, then there's no longer a need for buses. So there's a lot of changes that occur during the
Well,
school year and they.
Good information to have, and maybe there's some that they, but regardless of where they're at, just to have some idea, because there have been some, the police would know that, it's not the most desirable spot. Kids there,
So-
like sometimes I see them and it doesn't seem like it's a very safe corner, not because of the people, but because of the positioning. So if we're spending all this money into making this place safer, I think we need to look into make sure somebody has the change and so forth to where, how this affects the kids.
Right. And what I can do is I'll ask Mr. Bennett, because he can easily access the information that Terratectonic's left with us, and then we can just look for any information on the bus stops, and I can bring that back to you in the July.
I think it was like some sort of, I know it was done because I know I asked for it so many times. I know it was
Yeah,
done.
I can take a look at that. I think when I was reading the contract, the whole FDOT, like advisory part was written into the agreement, so I'll see how comprehensive that particular part was in their planning and in their design. And I'll get back to you all.
Okay, well, we can move forward. You need to get going, yeah.
So community policing. that. And, let's see, skipping down to historic preservation. I don't, you all had $20,000. My recommendation was just to up it to 60. And as we look at different projects, we do have a new team member that's joined our agency. And his focus is going to be primarily on public art. And so that kind of tucked that there just for a later date and time. And we'll be riding around, and then he'll also be attending a meeting in the next few months to kind of introduce himself, as well as kind of field any. So if you all have some suggestions as, you know, members of the Drew Park CAC, and I've kind of gone around and I see the propellers and, you know, signage. You know,
It was still
based on-
the one that's on Hillsborough, that entrance never got one.
Well,
It's weird.
Well,
One of the, yeah.
Yeah, we asked for it and I don't know why it was left off, but
but
Never
yeah,
got around.
information like that would be good because then we can allocate funding to,
to finish the project, we
right,
started
Finish.
a long time, but yeah.
because we want to make sure that we're spending some money to kind of tell the story of the park, you know. Make it nice.
Speaking of the signs that I think you're talking about, there are two, and it's regards to this repair and maintenance line item. There are two that I see every day, but one's on Osborne and one's by the Mercedes that are dented and broke. Is that on us to get somebody to fix that? Does that come from this line item? I mean, those need to be
And you said, where are they located?
Osborne, and then what is the street that goes by Mercedes?
Is that the one on is it Osborne and Neighbor?
Osborne and Del Mabry, and then the very,
Alva?
yes, it is. You're
Now,
right.
one of them, the actual mayor saw it and crashed into, that one got fixed fast.
So that, one of Osborne's
I don't know
really,
if you still have contact with his sister, or his notes or what have you, but he was on that.
Yeah, I can reach
In
out.
fact, I think you might have been in the phone. I don't know, I don't know.
So you said Osborne and Del Mabry and the other one is
and Alva.
Alpha.
Thank
And
you.
I do remember that we did put some money aside for those types of things. And hopefully we get the last one up. There might have been a second one over by Tampa Bay. I'm thinking.
I've got a question about numbers. This is about 75% of what I do. When I add this up, the expenses are about $800,000 shy of the revenue.
Right.
So where's the 800,000 then?
So that was my last comments. We can place it in neighborhood infrastructure and then reprogram out later as you all decide and, you know, say, hey, this is something we'd like to spend some funding on, or we can have a more extended conversation tonight. It's up to you.
I think part of our goal was for the project that we said that we wanted to do design on. We didn't have the dollars to do the construction.
Correct.
So we wanted to, over time, start setting those dollars aside to do that construction. So putting in a neighborhood infrastructure sounds like probably the right thing to do. So it's sitting there and it's ready to go. Pardon me, and I always sort of put numbers on.
Well,
By the way.
that belongs to the person that's representing the airport.
Hmm.
So you have to pass those on, that responsibility on your charting numbers next time. Okay.
Yeah, he's pretty good at it. He catches me every once in a while.
It's gonna go back to you. That's gonna go over to you. Okay.
Right, and then the other, under the quality of life and community improvement, that's the landscaping. Now, I will tell you that Parks and Recreation now will be paying for it. The right-of-way maintenance and coverage, yes. And they're logistically, we're not supposed to pay for continuing maintenance with the CR funds. So that's why that was zeroed out. And then there is some utilities funds that we're actually paying for in water, and just repair and maintenance that was also zeroed out because that was based on the contract that was in place with a vendor. So, you know, and keep in mind, this 3.2 million is based on an estimate. We may collect more in TIF revenue. We won't know that until probably sometime later this summer, and then that's when I'll come back to you all, or it'll go to the CRA board and they'll say, okay, well, this is what we want to see, and then, you know, they'll allocate the funding there. And as it relates to rollover, it'll be probably sometime later in the fall. October, November timeframe, once we've kind of shored up the books and all the money we've been spent for FY 24.
So if we get started on design, when would we be in a position to go out to bid?
So,
You don't have to give me an exact date, but if you give me the hour of the day.
so far what we are estimating for all of the procurement processes is like 6 months. So if we get started now, it'd take about 6 months to even secure the design firm. The design firm is going to do.
Why? No, that's crazy. No.
So we're doing our best to work around that, because I think that there is something that we can do to extend the contract of placemakers through a work order versus that whole bidding process. So we're gonna try and cut that time out. But once that design process is going through, that it takes a while.
There's something wrong if it's taking that long. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, most of us are business people and we would say there's something wrong with that. I'm sorry. It shouldn't take that long.
So how long are you gonna give them for the design?
For the design, I'd have to scope that up. I'm gonna look back and see what is pretty average, but I had to build that timeline out to get an idea.
So we're talking about,
3 months?
no, not. Even if he goes through a work order, that's probably, working in a bureaucracy is probably 45 to 60 days.
No.
And then to do the design, they've got to go to a couple meetings with us, so that's several months. They have to do some design work. We're probably best case, 6 to 8 months to have a design.
No.
And worst case, probably a year.
Yeah, probably about a year out, because once the design is secured.
Can't do this. This project has been on the works for so long.
Yeah.
But we've gone up against this before. We said no, and we were able to get it shorter. I'm sorry. If not, we can go contract somebody else to get it done. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. The CRA is a contract with the city. If the city can't get it done within a reasonable time, then there may be a way for us to go and contract another company to get it done. That's it.
Well,
Yeah.
we have to, when we're statutorily, we have to follow the city's procurement process. You know, we get frustrated too. So, but he's right, it's at least 6 months, at least.
I once did a grant with the police department and the school system. And they told me they were so happy because the grant provided them to get like things like paper clips and ink. Because they said they had to have a city council approval in the mayor before they could get paper clips. It was like, oh, amazing.
Yeah, so if you're trying to time it out, I would say that we would be ready to, because it would be another bidding and procurement process once the design is bid out. So everything that we're going into now, we're going to procure the actual construction services. It's probably a year out for construction.
Okay, so we went through these with the markers, okay, and this unit said, no, we're not waiting that time, and we didn't. So whatever has to get done, we need to move that forward. It's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable.
We will try to expedite
I'm just saying it's not
I
acceptable.
understand. We will try to do our best to expedite that process.
It's just, it's not acceptable.
Mr. Bennett and his team, his cohorts in our projects department, but yeah, it's going to, it won't be overnight.
Work on the work order.
Yes, sir. And hopefully, because some of the labor work's already done, it's going to
Here's a question.
speed up.
Which was left over from the money that we already approved for the initiating for tectonics. Economics, whatever, what's left on that PO?
That I don't have in front of me, but I can find out.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you what you said.
Yeah.
Because I think I asked for it in the last meeting at some point. What was the balance? We got a nice sheet with, all these, the POs, which was great. We saw a summary of them, but we didn't see what was left over of that. There may be money already left over in Tectonic, so they can just start it. Now, obviously,
Well, that one-
we just said it's not type placemaker. It's about ready to correct myself. Thank you for correcting me.
And
Okay, do you need a motion for this?
For the budget?
No, yeah,
Yes.
okay,
And can we
Questions?
circle back
sure. Okay, that's what we're here for.
to, section 3? Because when you sent the email, out for the budget,
You're looking at what was in your agenda for the, April? Okay.
it has, professional services, 402,898.09.
Yes.
And it's item 2, and then there's item 3, which is outreach and community engagement, professional services and promotions. And what I'm kind of looking at is it was originally $21,000 in the budget for promotions. And so I don't see that as much here in this new budget that you brought tonight. And so what I'm kind of concerned with is the actual promotions. Because I think, and I looked back in the notes from, I think it was December meeting, that I think it's a B,
Ms. Parks, yes.
Ms. Parks, sorry. Ms.
Steve
Parks.
Parks, yes, Steve Parks.
Where are we with that, with developing
The RP.
the more promotions to get people to the meetings for?
So,
Can I do a timeout real quick?
yes,
Just a quick question. I apologize to you. Maybe we can pick that back up. How many people do we need to take a vote? Because we're losing Nick
oh, yeah.
in
So,
1 minute.
if you all want to make the motion to approve the draft,
And then we can go back to talk
25
about
budget,
the
and
work
then
on
we can-
marketing.
yes.
Okay with that? So we're just gonna lose our form. So it would be a motion to accept the budget that has been proposed.
Would that also include that moving that 800,000 into neighborhood infrastructure? Okay. I can make a motion.
Susan's made a motion. We need a second.
Second.
Second by Nick. All in favor?
I,
Yeah. So passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, going back to your B conversation.
So, it's kind of, so where are we standing?
So there has, and I believe she probably shared back then that, there was an RFP that was being developed to be put out on the street and advertised to bring on a company who worked across all the CRAs as it relates to marketing, promotions, social media and the like. That would be moving forward very soon. I know they are,
Because it's,
I go back to my conversation. It's like, come on.
right.
Like,
I'm hoping it's not too much.
Like this, we'd be out of business.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's not 2 months. One of my teammates has kind of picked it up. As you know, that Ms. Parks is now in the housing. She's going to be overseeing the grants, the new grants that you all saw this evening. So she has transitioned as of 2-3 weeks ago. Hasn't been a month yet. So that RFP will be hitting the street here soon, and then, we'll be paying an entity to come out and do social media, any type of marketing newsletters and the like. Right now, the only CRA that has a contract in place is Ybor City, and I don't know if you have seen any of their information that's come out over, throughout the years, but they actually have a entity that does that for them. So any stories, any meetings, any,
Like an entity that there's.
Like a marketing company.
it's a market.
It's out of their budget, they pay.
Well, we would pay them to then.
The CRA, there's a CRA in Ybor City, they pay for somebody to do that work for them. It doesn't
And
go
it's
by.
getting done. kind
And
of
it's getting done.
PQ.
Yes.
So we.
I'm
can't do
with
that-
you.
We can't do that here or.
No, that's what that RFP will entail.
And what's, sorry.
Request for proposal. So we have to, when I talked about the procurement process, we have to advertise and then allow a certain amount of time, 60, 90, 180 days for respondents, and then they basically, send in proposals, hey, we will do this work, this is what it will entail, and we can do it for this much. Some are lower, some are higher, and then there's a committee that will then meet and say, okay, well, this is what we think would be best for the agency.
I'm kind of so new to that.
That's okay.
But, okay,
But it's a good question.
yeah, so how do we get follow-up or information?
I will follow up with you and let you know. And hopefully, I will be able to have some additional information, before the July on this topic.
Anybody else? Something you don't want to catch.
Question about the,
Either some.
does Mr. Bennett need like a formal recommendation from this committee to go with the fast track of the work order versus the bid so that we can try to avoid the bid?
I don't think he does.
No.
I don't think so.
I mean, if he needs it, because that
Yeah.
will just kind of keep
Yeah.
moving along.
Do you think by tomorrow we can find out how much is left over in our PO, if anything?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give him something tomorrow. We have CRA board. Can I have until 4 o'clock? All right, so yeah, so it's gonna be a long day tomorrow. So yeah, but I'll give the appropriate person to find out how much it's been expended.
It'd be good to know on every one of them, because we might run into this again.
Mhm.
tomorrow. Okay, anything else?
Any questions? Thank you all for moving forward with the budget, and I'm gonna go, there's a couple things. Mr. Carlson, do you mind standing? One of the items that'll be on the agenda tomorrow, Mr. Carlson, he's attended probably every meeting that I've been here, so the last 3 months, I think. He will be replacing that, fine gentleman in the blue shirt there, Forrester, as a representative from, the airport. And, so unless something cataclysmic happens, I don't see why they won't approve him tomorrow, but, so I just wanted to let you all know that you'll have a new colleague at the table with you, next month.
First order is in charge of coyotes. Capture those
We
things.
don't have that many coyotes.
Because they do parking, eating on the cats.
We shoot them off over to Drew Park.
Yeah. Along with the bear.
Yes, I didn't hear about the bear, but,
Oh, you didn't hear about the bear?
They come out.
Big news.
really,
Trust me, we don't have many coyotes because we've had in the last 3 years, 2 dogs got loose in the airfield. And we found them, one took about a month. And the other one was probably about a week.
Are they alive?
Yeah. If there were lots of coyotes, they wouldn't have been alive. Wow. So,
No, but I will tell you that one night I heard a screeching sound like bloody
that's-
murder.
that's the coyote and the cat getting acquainted.
Okay.
all right. Thanks for the visit.
Sweet dreams, y'all.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the second order, I'm sorry, the second order of business is that, I just wanted to inform you, and you may have read the story in the news. In the Times, last week, our director, Erica Moody, I believe she's probably made her way around to, Drew Park. She has tendered a resignation. She will be moving on, as well as our deputy administrator, Mr. Elise Drongo. We just found out last Tuesday morning, so just wanted to make sure that you were aware. That we're having some changes within our leadership and department.
So Cedric, when are you taking over?
Grant, I'm a grassroots kind of guy, so I'm doing it.
Okay.
being here. Yeah, if I have, if and or when, you know, and I'm hearing there's gonna be a search and, you know, things of that nature. So as I get more information, I will gladly share it, but you may see it before we meet next month or the month after. So just wanted to share that with you. And then we're actually, as managers, looking at trying to adjust our CAC policy that was updated last November. As you know, I believe it was in June, the CRA board requested, we had some CACs that had subcommittees and things of that nature. They eliminated that. And then we may also be looking at a bi-monthly meeting schedule. So what we're finding is that, and as we're having some attrition, we're, you know, because I have multiple CRAs, all of the CRA managers have multiple CRAs. So we're kind of prepping for the meeting, for the next meeting. And so that we can do some of the work and then actually work with our grants and projects teams to kind of make sure that things are moving and getting done. So, and I know it's difficult for some of you all to meet every month. So because of just everything else that you're involved in, the business owner, academia, the airport, so on and so forth. So we're starting to have conversations about that as I get more information. It probably won't be until the fall, but you know, as we go into the FY 25, I may send you a calendar and then we'll have to figure out what that looks like. Because we may be asked to cover for each other at various meetings. I've done a West Tampa meeting because the other manager was at an Ybor City meeting. So, and I think I've had meetings the first 2 months until we switched to the second Wednesday. I've been in East Tampa in the morning and then here in the evening and vice versa. So, so I just wanted to let you all know that we may be looking at some changes as we start coming to the new fiscal year. And then the last item that I wanted to share, let's see, there is a property that I've had some conversations with our real estate department about, and the exact address is 4450 West Ohio. Do you all know where that is by chance? And it's right across from Air Cargo Road, right here.
Is that here or something? Or used to be the temple of?
Yes, I believe it's a Center for Islamic Education Center, but before that, it was like a Shriners Hall or something
Is
like
that
that.
That's
Yeah.
Santa Grana's in person?
Right. So, well, it may not be up for sale, but
I think it just sold a couple of years ago.
right, 2016 is what I was told. So,
Okay.
and I believe it sold for 1.1
Okay.
million. So right now, I can't tell you what, because we haven't had any discussions. But I was contacted by a representative in our real estate department about it potentially becoming available. And I just wanted to kind of gauge you all's level of interest as Nick was talking about affordable housing options.
Is that on the residential side?
Yes. Well, I think the parcel that you were talking about that was cited was right here. And then we own this and this is where you're talking about for the potential park site, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So,
I think it's those three, and then we go out to Manhattan.
mhm. So, I just kind of wanted to gauge your interest to see if that's something that, the Drew Park CAC assembled here today might have a level of interest. And,
You know how big this building is?
I don't know the square footage, but the total acreage with the building itself, the parking lot, and then this piece here is a little over, I think it's 3.1 acres.
Depending on the size of the building. And what the CAC wants to do, if the CAC wants to buy it. But there'd be about a 20% chance that your airport would be interested.
Say the 20%. So we'd have to fight for it. No, or we wouldn't.
No,
have to
you're
fight.
not gonna fight me for it. If you guys say you want it, I'm out.
Well, well, yeah, I just, you know,
The only reason that we would use it is to, do storage in the building.
so,
That is all. We would do.
So with that site, we mentioned affordable housing and, land acquisition. This potentially could be something, and right now, I probably would estimate that it could be between $2 and $3 million to purchase for that 3.2 acres. Drew Park does not have that in the budget otherwise a lot of projects and programs that we want to see next fiscal year probably would happen. So, we may have to set up some kind of partnership with maybe the housing department or the city. But, it's very preliminary. We haven't had any formal discussions. I just kind of wanted to check the temperature of the folks sitting at the table to see if this is something that you all may have a level of interest in moving forward with. And,
Interesting that it's near the Hubert Park.
and the representative from real estate that I spoke to, he says, hey, well, you all have this already, why not? And then we can talk about, what that future use would look like. Primarily would be residential. But, this is very preliminary. Just wanted to kind of gauge the level of interest, and then I can let them know one way or the other, hey, we might have some support, but there's no plan in place. This is just us having a conversation about potential purchase at a future date and time.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it. Did you all want to have a little discussion about?
I personally like it, because especially if we go with the affordable housing, that, parties that live there have such close proximity to the park. I think it's a nice feature.
If we did, could we connect them with Manhattan Avenue? That's kind of that weird road, right?
Yeah, it's a city right away.
But we could have at least an entrance or a walkway or something.
So let me see. If I'm trying to alleys there. So the city of Tampa owns this one. We have. So that's a private owner. This is a private owner, and I think this is the one that you were mentioning is as feasible site. And then this is ours for CRE, City of Tampa. And so these three.
It's 3 plus the 1, right?
Correct. And then,
Might be.
if we have discussions here, then maybe potentially we could.
That one's, the one on their cargo is larger than all 4 of those combined.
Correct.
The piece to the left of where the building's at, look on that
I
side.
wish Mr. Labs there was like,
Is there a line?
his folks on this piece, right? Right there? I think so, yes.
Is that an old abandoned right of way?
Where about Manhattan?
No. The other side of the site. See how our cargo curves off to the west?
That way.
Yeah.
There's a gap.
Right here?
Yeah, right.
That I don't know.
I always wondered about that. Well, there might be one of those secret underground tunnels that they've been talking about in the news that are all around Tampa. I know my cousin that there was one that he used to go over there on Tampa Bay Boulevard underneath to his cousin's bakery shop. So,
We dig a hole around here, full of water, so there's many secret underground.
Those on the lots on Ohio Avenue, to the right, are those individual houses? Do we
I
know?
think they're residential.
Residential, so.
At least.
I remember I drove that thing, I drove around it like 3 times. When we first started talking about the park.
So it's kind of hard to tell.
There's definitely some synergy there, and I don't think the city is gonna say, no, you can't cross Manhattan Avenue.
Right.
I think the park layout that was on here contemplated using
Yeah,
Manhattan.
they said it was like a trail. It's supposed to be.
Yeah, they were gonna put put a little
Yeah, you have to
connection
trail.
right up through here on the city.
Ask a weird dumb question. What's the, so in the budget though, because we, affordable housing initiatives land, is there already 1.5 million for the
Well, that's
Fruit
what,
Park?
that's what was listed there previously, so you would come to here. So, yeah, that would be, that's what we feel the rollover. So that's what's available right now remaining for FY 24. This is what we've allocated for. Correct,
Oh.
right, so
Okay. Well, that was,
So that.
okay, that, what was that lead?
That's not available.
no, it would be. It would be,
And
but
that's,
I doubt that it's going to be that. It's probably going to be more. I would estimate.
and that's a private seller.
Yes,
Kind of one, yeah. just abandoned.
Are they willing to break it up?
you'd have to have conversations. Like I said, this is very preliminary. It was brought to my attention. I just wanted to bring it to you all to see, engage the level of interest potentially. And, you know, if instructed to do so, I can ask real estate to go ahead and explore the options and maybe have some conversations with the ownership.
I guess the other thing I think of is the Hubert Avenue Park. And it's been a while since we looked at those pieces, but I want to say in my mind, that was more kind of children, younger children climbing on things. What would interest me is not that whole piece, but maybe even half, if we had something for the older kids that would be adjacent across the alleyway, like, I don't know, baseball fields or pickleball courts, that's a new thing. Well, I'm not saying anything either way, I'm just throwing an idea on the table, but it would be neat because you would have younger kids on the one side, and then if we had kind of another connecting to another, something for older. So I don't believe we have anything for older, do we? We talked about trying to get a basketball court in a linear park, you know, I mean, those are also the kids that are gonna be not having anything to do and I'm not saying I'm even sold on it, I'm just throwing that out.
You tore the walls off the building. You could put a skate park in there, you could probably put basketball hoop in there and you
Or
got
could we even have a community? Do we have a community room that people can
There used to be
use?
the whole.
I don't know what kind of shape that's in. I mean, we kind of talked about community pavilions in Hubert, but you know, community
Basically-
park.
At least I think Susan and I love your idea, because you're basically rebuilding the old Hunts.
Hunts Park,
Taking
yeah.
it out,
I used to
please.
go there as a kid.
Yeah, it used to have a small baseball. In fact, yesterday's meeting got mentioned, a small baseball court,
What was the name of it? Hunts?
Hunts.
HUNTS?
which got, by name, got moved to Alobas Park, but it's not obviously accessible to.
And that
Which is
was
the
in
reason-
same area?
Yeah, a little bit further.
Oh, come on, you've heard me say how many times that the airport took the kids park, that was it, Hunts Park. That's the one.
I mean, he was asking how near it was.
I brought it up. Yeah, Hunts Park was the park that was the community, had a community center. And it had, from what I remember, it had a small, baseball field, smaller than. I think by FedEx. Actually, somebody corrected me yesterday, it might have just been the same area we were at, we're coming into. So I'm a little confused if it's on the FedEx on that side of air cargo or on this side of air cargo. I could very well have been, I don't know, but it got moved by name and a community center was built at Alobas Park to replace it, but the kids here never could cross Del Mar, so it never got replaced. So this is where the original idea came for this park. I'm going 10 years ago. This is why it panics me when he says another year or whatever. I'm like, no, I've been waiting for this for a decade and I'm not even exaggerating. You know? So what Susan and I was kind of reminiscing based on what she was saying, which was like, she leaded right back to what we had before, which was beautiful.
Yeah, it was a nice park. It wasn't too far from the Zindergarten.
Right, was it behind Center Park or in front of Center?
I think it was.
By FedEx,
So,
was it
Yeah.
FedEx field?
Anything which way, which direction. It's between that place and Hillsborough Community College. It used to be a dairy. Ford's Dairy used to be there.
Okay, so we don't know.
When there was milkmen and milk trucks.
Had to been on that side of Air Cargo because it got removed because of the airport acquisitions. So it had to been on the other side. That makes sense.
Does anybody have any pictures of Hunts Park? Y'all have any pictures from Hunts Park?
Talk to Charlie Miranda,
Charlie Miranda? I'll see him tomorrow.
because he's the one that knows all about that.
Okay.
Because he's the one that brought it up yesterday about Hunts Park
Yeah.
and the small baseball fields.
When did you say this just went on market or available?
I say it was on the market.
Oh,
I would say you should, mine, I'm not only a numbers guy, but I'm a dirt guy. You should investigate it. You know, you can't make a good decision without good data. Find out what they're talking.
All right.
I'm sure they're asking way more than it's worth, but at least we'll know.
Maybe.
At least we'll know what they're thinking.
If it was what kind of cultural center was it?
Islamic education.
It might be a nonprofit.
It has to sell to another nonprofit.
I don't know. That's just.
Well, at the beginning it was Senator Brotto.
It could be leased, they could be leasing it from a private owner.
But it did sell, because we did look into that property. It sold.
It's sold,
About 10 years ago, 8 years
I
ago?
don't think it was that long ago. I thought it was like.
Information I have said 2016.
Okay,
Alright, so
my memory is foggy.
Yeah, we sold,
Okay, so I will,
Check into it.
I will have a conversation with real estate, first thing tomorrow.
The building is.
It's our interest.
Yeah.
and for the history buffs, that is one of the few little places that we've had to go and have community dances and parties. We rent it out, little bands that would come in from out of town.
We
And
could
the
have our Drew Park meetings there.
There you go.
And
Now you're getting,
and
you're
with
getting.
Marcia there.
Very,
At
oh,
7-Eleven.
no.
that's the thing, yeah, some big gas, I don't know, develop a gas station right there on their cargo code. Who knows?
Okey dokes. Okay, so can we move to adjourn?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Somebody want to do the honors?
I'll make the motion.
Anybody?
Thanks.
All right, all in favor?
I feel like it's gotten any cooler in here.
No, I actually went to.
That's what I've been trying to do this whole time is the guy that does it is gone. And anyway,
Yes.
I think something's broke.
That means you're the.
Thank you. I'll be sure.
I never had that, so.
I'm sure he does.
It's the torment. Yeah. He was been in the business a long time.
Oh, good.
So he's got some good.
Way back in the